To get a handle on stress, we must understand what it is and what strategies are effective in its presence. Not all stress is destructive. Much stress leads to progress through innovation and invention. Without stress, it is possible to become stagnant. The forms of stress described in these podcasts and videos relate to the types of stress that are chronically draining and destructive. Stress is often deceptively camouflaged as an uneasy feeling in the pit of your stomach, being irritable, having difficulty sleeping, or experiencing a vague headache or a backache. If we hope to take aim and effectively deal with stress, we must first strip away the camouflage so we know where to set our sights. There is the stress of imminent danger, the stress of threatened identity, the stress of uncertainty, the stress of covering responsibility, and the stress of transgressions. The strategies to deal with stress differ based on the cause of the stress. This presentation is a review of the stress caused by uncertainty and confusion. Resilience and stress go hand in hand. The stress caused by uncertainty is a common cause of stress. Our daily lives are filled with areas of importance that are filled with uncertainty and confusion. Resilience is needed most during times of stress, and if stress is handled properly, it will strengthen your resilience. Resilience is your soul's covering during times of stress. Treat it kindly and spend it wisely. In the book of Philippians in the New Testament, we are encouraged by the following words. Don't be pulled in different directions or worried about a thing. This is in Philippians 4, verse 6. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to live a completely worry-free life? No uncertainty or confusion. But unfortunately, life is just not that easy to navigate. It is filled with times of confusion and uncertainty. To preserve and develop resilience, it is necessary to identify life stressors, and then once identified, a plan can be put in place to limit their negative impact. So let's take a look at this category of stress, the stress of uncertainty. I have been in the healthcare field as either a medical student, a primary care physician, or now an addiction specialist for over 40 years. I can say with conviction that health concerns and uncertainty walk hand in hand. Even the terminology that the practice of medicine is called a practice means there's left lots of room for uncertainty, such as uncertain diagnoses, uncertain test results, and uncertain treatments. The symptoms a patient experiences are real. The cause is often uncertain. To go from the symptom to an accurate diagnosis is often a path that is both confusing and exhausting. And then you get back a chest x-ray that spots a possible abnormality with a recommendation that the x-ray be repeated in 3 months. Now you have a form of uncertainty that produces terror. Another area filled with uncertainty is the area of finances and financial security. As living gets more expensive every year, how can you determine what you may need to retire? Or as you look at your newborn son or daughter, you have no idea what you will need in order to send them to college in 18 years, let alone to know what their first car might cost, or how they will ever afford to buy their first house. No matter what income is made, it always seems to feel like it'll never be enough. What has happened to our sense of security and safety? Uncertainty about our community's safety and security is universal. With reports of school shootings, violent protests, random acts of violence, home invasion robberies, a rising distrust of authority figures, there just seems to be no place that feels safe any longer. I live in a state where it's relatively easy to get a permit to carry a handgun. When I first moved here in 2006, I interviewed all the patients I saw in a 2-week period of time. That was roughly 200 people. 50% of those interviewed reported they either had a handgun on them or in their car in the office parking lot. So where can we go to find safety, security, and peace? The most significant area of uncertainty is in the area of relationships, and nothing is more troubling than for a relationship to sour. We define ourselves by our relationships, and it is extremely troubling to find out that those relationships were not what we thought they were. A relationship depends on a lot more than just you, and you do not have control over the other person in the relationship. And frankly, you never really know with 100% accuracy where those individuals stand. That uncertainty can be very stressful. The stress of uncertainty is present to some degree all the time. This type of stress can negatively impact our lives in several significant ways. Firstly, it results in a lot of confusion. This confusion is initially very energetic. If you have a physical symptom, you can spend hours on the internet searching for answers, multiple medical consultations and tests. If the confusion is in the area of finances, it can result in a feverish review of investments or taking a second or a third job. If the confusion is in the area of relationships, it can result in sleepless nights and hours, days, weeks, months, and years of anxious thoughts. The worry and fear generated by the stress of uncertainty will eventually burn you out. The uncertainty that plagued you to begin with will still be present, but now you have no energy to do anything about it. You give up. So, if the original uncertainty was in the area of health, then I give up and reach for another donut, or maybe a beer, or maybe a beer and a donut. If the original uncertainty was in the area of finance, then I give up and spend all that I have today. I mean, really, why bother with a retirement plan that may not be sufficient anyway? If the uncertainty was in the area of relationship, I might as well give up and just do what's best for me. At least, if I'm completely self-centered, I know the thoughts of the one I'm in relationship with. So now I'm left overweight, broke, insecure, and alone. My actions have been not only ineffective, but destructive. Resilience is now weakened, and there are no tools to deal with the next area of uncertainty that I will have to face today. If you do not want to live a life of despair and isolation, you'll have to learn to deal with this as well as function in the presence of uncertainty. To deal with uncertainty, first of all, you have to recognize it. At times, just the simple recognition of uncertainty can lessen its power. If you are starting a new job, you should feel uncertain and insecure for the first few weeks. So give yourself permission to feel uncertain and insecure. These feelings will go away quicker if you're not wasting your valuable emotional energy fighting what is inevitable. The same principle applies in the areas of finance, security, and relationships. Take time to write out the areas of uncertainty. This exercise may not clear up the uncertainty, but it will go a long way to lessen its negative impact. Now that you have the areas listed, now what do you do? Ask questions, ask for help, and be patient. In the medical setting, it can be helpful to ask for options. That is, are there other ways to get to a diagnosis or other treatment options? Where necessary, ask for help. That help could come from a medical professional if the uncertainty is in the area of health, a financial planner if the uncertainty is in the area of finance, a counselor if the uncertainty is in the area of security, or a marriage counselor if the uncertainty is in the area of important relationships. Help can also be found in relationships with friends, families, and a small group through your church or a group like Alcoholics Anonymous. There will be times when the troubling uncertainty will just not let go, when there seem to be no answers, when the help you get seems to be insufficient. This is a time when we can easily slip into that pit of despair or depression. Make a habit of being thankful. Get a gratitude journal and discipline yourself to write in it daily. If your stress is in the area of uncertainty, then don't be afraid to identify it, ask questions, clarify the uncertainty, and remain thankful. I hope that by being able to visualize the elements or categories of stress, that it will encourage an ability to get a hold of stress so it does not get hold of you. Hopefully, these tools will help you deal with the stress that comes from the stress of uncertainty. For additional references and help, please contact the fracturedresilience.com website, and to be notified of future videos and podcasts, please subscribe to the Fractured Resilience YouTube channel. Thank you.